But here we are.
Yeah. Yeah, here we are.
So today we were going to touch on grief, but now maybe we need to talk about anger, frustration, irritation.
Yeah.
What that looks like.
I wanted to just start ripping shit out and like throwing it, but very expensive. This stuff is very expensive for me to just be throwing a temper tantrum. We can still talk about grief. I feel like, well, no, fuck that. We're just
what it is at this point.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out later.
Yeah. Julie, what did you do today?
So my uncle passed away.
Mm-hmm.
My great uncle.
But he lived a full life because he was
75.
Mm-hmm.
He was 75. Yeah, he lived a full life. Really great guy. So I had to attend his funeral today, or his memorial, because he was actually cremated.
Okay.
So he wasn't there. He was cremated, so we had like a memorial type service for him.
Mm-hmm.
And it went really well.
Okay. That's it? That's all you did?
Mm-hmm. What else did I do?
Girl, you bought a whole fucking cricket.
Oh, yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah, I got on Facebook Marketplace, found a cricket. So now I've got to dive into that and see what I'm going to do with it, what I can make, and what I can create, and have some fun with it.
Yep. We also went into town today again. I can't remember what we did today. What did we do in town besides eat the ramen? We tried this.
We went to Ulta.
Oh yeah, we went to Ulta because you needed some.
I had fried my hair. I'm not using heat protectant, so I fried my hair. So I had to go get something to make shake back. So
yeah,
we went to Ulta. Spent way too much money, but it's well needed.
Yeah, that and I'm just an Ulta fan, anyways. Just a reason to go in there. That's enough for me, honestly. So I got her a couple. I don't know if y'all are familiar with the brand BB. I use some of their shampoos, and so I got her a couple sample size, like what I don't know if they're called sample sizes or travel sizes these days, because they're like
trial. I would think
trial or trial or travel.
Yeah.
But it's like the little 2-ounce ones, and I got her the invisible oil one, and then I can't remember what the other one was, but it was a specific like heat.
Mm-hmm.
But the invisible oil one is more like a thicker one. It's like more conditioner kind of texture, but still lightweight.
Yeah.
So I hope it works. I hope you like it.
I forgot what the other product was I got. That full size one. Oh, it was a hair mask.
By Redken.
Yeah, Redken 5-minute hair mask. So.
Julie's sister, her other sister, Crystal,
I have 4 of them, by the way. I have 4 sisters.
Whew, I have 5, so. But she is a hairdresser. She lives in the state of Tennessee, and she's really, really good. And she has her own salon, or she has her own.
In Murfreesboro, Tennessee. You can see her at Laloon Salon. She's really great.
Yeah, literally, Julie doesn't go to anyone else but her sister.
Yeah, she's the only one I can trust. Okay, so the last time that I trusted someone else here locally, I literally walked out looking like Lord Farquaad.
Stop.
No, it was bad. It was bad.
Stop.
Even like whenever I got home, Andy was like, "What the hell happened to you?" And my son walked in and he was like, "Mama, no." And then when I got to work, people were like, "Oh, you got your hair done." And I'm like, "Yeah, but it's not a great job." Well, I wasn't going to say anything. So even people at work noticed that it was horrible. I mean, like I wanted to cry when I left there. She charged me $40 for that mess. I got the 4-quad.
I wouldn't have paid that bitch a damn thing. If I looked at it and was like, actually, but I'm actually also a liar. I would have been like, okay, that's enough. I think I actually don't want to go any shorter. I think that's probably the most that I would have done. But I still would have paid for the stuff.
But I kept thinking to myself, okay, like everybody doesn't style the same. she may think a style is good that I might not think, and I'm just really weird about stuff, how I like my hair to look, just weird about it. And so I thought, okay, well, once I get home and I can style it, it'll be fine. But that was a lie. It was still horrible. I came home immediately, washed it, tried to redo it, and it just there was nothing you could do with it. The cut was even off, like it wasn't right. And she said that she had been cutting hair for 20 years, over 20 years.
Listen, I will be the first one to say not all hairstylists are created equally. They're just not. They're not.
And so I had to fly all the way to Tennessee just to get my hair done.
Mm-hmm.
But at the point, by the time that I made it to her salon, it was my fault. I had already fried my hair because I wasn't using my heat protectant like I should have. And my hair is literally fried and crispy, and it's just breaking off. I can barely get a comb through it, and when I do, it's just breaking off. So I've got to figure out a way to shake it back. So we're doing the hair mask and a different heat protectant. So
a better quality one.
Yeah.
I can't say, even though we're going to talk about grief, I really like this a little bit better right now. Maybe we'll touch on grief, since the reason we were going to do that was because you went to the funeral, and it was just a good topic, So I do use a lot of different shampoos, and I won't lie to y'all. I use a lot of expensive ones, but I also use cheap shampoos. Like, I have a couple bottles of, like, Suave. I have a couple bottles of, like, just regular $10 kind of bottles of shampoo and conditioner. I have some $20 bottles, and I have a handful, like 4 different bottles of, like, maybe $30 to $40. And I just alternate, like, depending on what I'm going to be doing in the next couple days, because I wash my hair every other day. And I know you always say that you can't do that because you kind of get...
Yeah, my hair gets way too oily. But I think it's just because it's so humid here, and it's just the environment. Because when I went to visit my sister in Colorado the first time, I had been there for 3 days and realized that I had not washed my hair at all, and it was just like the first day that
I think it's the water.
It's just my environment here.
Yeah, I think it's the water, because same when I come back home, I can't go a full 2 days. Like, I washed my hair yesterday, and already today my hair's like, I had to put dry shampoo in it.
Yeah. But even when I use dry shampoo, because I've tried that, my hair just feels and looks so stringy and nasty. Like, it just doesn't work for me. Really.
Have you just been using cheap ones?
Probably.
Okay.
Because I'm cheap.
I think that you should definitely try, if you do go cheap, you still need to go to places like Ulta or places like Sally's, because they have these nice powdery ones where you just dabble it on instead of spraying it in. Mm-hmm. And those are really, really nice. Yeah. Like, I really like those. But Batiste is my all-time favorite.
I think that's what I have in there, right? I could be wrong, but I think I have Batiste in there.
Batiste. That is a good brand. And if you're saying it doesn't work well, maybe just try a different one. But then again,
I think it's just my hair's way of telling me that I just need to move away from Louisiana.
I've been trying to get you to move to Georgia for years.
Well, not Georgia, but,
I told her Alabama, too.
Definitely not Alabama. We are not going to roll tide, no.
Florida?
No, sinkholes, can't do it. I have an unnatural fear of sinkholes, and I don't know why I do.
That's Logan's, like, number one place choice. Like,
no, I need to move west somewhere.
I would love to live in California. That is my dream.
Washington, that's mine.
Fuck no. I love the rain, but
the rain is
fuck that. No, I'd off myself, bro. Like, I'd last maybe 3 months, and then I'd be like, there's no sunshine. Gone.
I do not need the sunshine. I've been taking vitamin D pill and calling it a day. I love the rain. I love it all. I love a good overcast day.
I like a rainy, sunny day, because it reminds me of my childhood in South Texas and in Mexico. I'm not from Mexico. Don't you go trying to fucking deport me, bitch. I got a social security number, and I am a U.S. citizen, and I am not first generation. So y'all can suck a dick.
And even if she was, she's married, she could get her green card.
I don't have my ring on right now.
Okay.
But yeah.
Moving along.
Child, anyways. So yeah, I am married. I mean, y'all just can't anyways. That doesn't matter. I will flex that shit. What was I saying? But I did grow up in a border town. That's where I was born, and my dad was a U.S. citizen. A Mexican citizen, and he was allowed to cross over. So I guess that's called like residency of some sort, or maybe just a visa. I don't really know.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, especially back then, I don't really know, because I know they've changed a lot since then. That was almost 30 years ago. Yeah. But when it rained there, it usually was always sunny. So
you know what the old wives' tale is?
The devil's beating his wife. I think
don't know,
that's
where
funny.
Did they come up with these wives' tales?
I don't know. That's an interesting one. Like,
some old man just get drunk and be like, "Oh, that makes the devil's beating his wife." Like, where did they come up with this mess, bro?
I don't know. That's a good question. I really have no idea. But I always think it's beautiful, and anytime I see it, I play in the rain. Like, it literally just takes me back to I was a little
Gives
girl.
You a cozy feeling.
Yeah, it's such a wonderful feeling. This one time when I lived in Kentucky, I walked outside and it was snowing. It was snowing on this side, but it was sunny on this side. And I think that was truly one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was very pretty.
You know, I just want to travel and find all of the best sunset places and just take pictures of all of the sunsets across the United States.
Sunsets are beautiful. They really are. And I think that would be really nice. But I have found anytime I go to the beach, I try and do one sunrise per beach that I go to if we're spending the night in the area, because sunrises on the beach are also very pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are. Yeah.
But sunsets just in the country,
sunsets in the country. That's where it's at for me. Yeah.
Those are the most beautiful. All of my photos, I think all of my recent, like maybe last 5 recent photos on my Facebook, like your cover photos for your profile. Yeah. Those have all been sunset pictures that I've taken. Yeah. And they're always so pretty. But hair. We were talking about hair. I do use a lot of different products. I do think it's the water. I don't know if it's necessarily just Minden water.
We do have hard water here.
Sorry, I said where you live. I'll cut that out.
Okay.
But
yeah, here where we live at, I think it is hard water because, like, even like in our sink, you'll see a ring of like orange, the oxidation, I guess, or whatever it is, and even in the tub, you'll see it. So I think there is hard water. Probably just need to get a whole home filter. Yeah, but you know, that costs money.
Yeah. I can only do one Christmas present at a time, girl. I'm sorry.
I know. You have a list of mile long.
Birthday. But yeah. I actually would like to shout out my 2 hairdressers. I go to 2 different girls. One, her name is Madison, and the other one, her name is Morgan. And
back home in Georgia?
Back home in Georgia. Madison is actually kind of like TikTok famous, which is pretty cool. She's great. We really, like, we have had like a couple, I guess, conversations where we just kind of got to know each other while I was in the chair. But I originally found her when I was in the fire academy, and it was like I was due for just a trim, and I just happened to walk in, and I was like, yeah, I'll take this girl. And she was just so nice, and I never stopped going back to her until she went on maternity leave, and then I had to find someone temporarily, and that was like so I shaved my head in 2023.
She had a Brittany moment.
It was not a Brittany moment. It was not. It was actually a really empowering moment. Yeah. And I think, and honestly, now that Brittany is free, maybe we should all embrace, like, when people say that about the Brittany moment. Like, maybe because really and truly, she did, like, you know, it later came out that she stated that she did that because she wanted, like, everyone was just always in her face about how beautiful she was, and they just, you know, like, she wanted to really give them a reason to fucking, like, just be in her business like that. Like, taking photos of her at her most vulnerable. And she was like, well, just fuck it, So maybe, I guess now that she, we know all the things that went on behind closed doors for her. Yeah, fuck it. I had a Brittany moment.
I mean, yeah, you never know what goes on with people.
Yeah. But I did shave my head. You're not supposed to initially shave your head. You're really not supposed to go that short. But in indigenous culture, when you lose someone, you do trim. Like, you cut your braid. But it was just such a devastating loss that the cut was nice, but then I just felt the need. I was like, just get rid of all of it. I just needed to start over.
Yeah.
Because they say, your hair holds grief. Mm-hmm. And I guess that can kind of spin us back into what we originally wanted to talk about, just grief.
Yeah.
I know in the last, 12 months, probably 18 months now, you have lost a couple really close people, Mr. Ken and Jared.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to share with us?
So I worked for Mr. Ken for about 11 years, and he became like family to me. He was my boss, and then I did rent from him several years, and he was like a grandfather to me, and he was just older in age. I think he was 82 when he passed. Last August, he fell and ended up in the hospital, and he kind of just went downhill from there. But yeah, he was family to me. I did save the older that he got. Every time he called me, if I didn't answer the phone, he would always leave me voicemails. And so I saved those because I never wanted to forget what he sounded like. And he was so weird about taking pictures and videos and things like that. Like, he shied away from the camera, and so I really never got those types of things. So really all I had left was his voice on voicemail.
Yeah.
And then when I was listening to one the other day, he always picked on me when I didn't answer the phone. I guess bankers, have bankers hours and things like that. You don't have time to answer the phone. He was just goofy. He was a really good guy.
And that's a man that truly did live a full life.
He did. He did so many things.
Yeah.
And it's every time we talked, and when we would just sit down and have our long talks, it was like every time I would learn something new, something crazy that he did, and I'd be like, "Are you serious? You did that?" And to him, it was like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
Like, he would do anything. He would get in the middle of anything. He didn't care. He would just do crazy stuff and just go places and do things. And
that's beautiful.
I aspire to be like him.
Yeah, that is beautiful. Maybe around like Day of the Dead, we can actually kind of maybe show them like some pictures of some of our loved ones that we've lost, and we actually, we can do our ofrendas for them and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that'd be really nice. That way we can really like
memorialize them.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe like
keep their memory alive.
Yeah, like 15, 20 minutes for each one or something.
Yeah.
And then Jared.
Yeah. So, yeah, my sister, she was engaged to a really good guy, Jared, and I came close to him, and really great guy. He was so good to my sister, but he had liver problems, and ultimately he was in liver failure, and would be for the rest of his life. He was on medication, and eventually it failed him, and he did pass away. So we dealt with that last year, back in February of last year. So lost two close people to me in 1 year. So it was a tough year.
Yeah.
Fuck 2024.
I know. I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have been experiencing loss and grief from a very young age. My father passed away when I was 9 years old. Ultimately, the prognosis was that he did catch tuberculosis, and my father had AIDS. So he actually passed from the complications. Yeah. And then when I was 13 years old, my mom had a relationship with this guy, and he took wonderful care of me and my sisters and my brother. and he just really saw us as his own. He truly, truly just loved the hell out of us. And his name was Rodney Wayne, and one of the most beautiful souls. And he tragically took his life. Yep, that was really hard. And
was
then,
that the first person in your life you lost to suicide?
Yeah. And then, although I really didn't know my aunt actually spent like 10 years in prison. Actually, I think she was sentenced to 10 and she spent 5 in prison and then was doing parole for her last 5, if I'm correct. And she did pass away, but that didn't really affect me directly. But she had 4 children who my mom ended up, taking in and co-parenting with my grandmother. And we were like siblings, and me and her eldest, so my cousin, she and I we're 23 days apart in age. And so obviously we just grew up close. And I think we were literally within the same year. So my father had died in May, her mom died in October, and we just experienced that together, I think, and it was very hard to see because her mom died in a tragic car accident, and it was just very hard. I've always been an empath. And so that, like I said, that didn't necessarily affect me, but it did, impact me in some way. And then in 2017, my immediate and age younger sister, she took her own life. I think that's the first time I have ever questioned if I was ever going to be like normal or the same. And I actually met Julie shortly after that. I met Julie probably 3 months. I met Julie within 3 months after that. And I really believe that she and her family, her son, and Andrea from the other day, they really, they saw me through. They saw me through some of the ugliest parts of that grief, from battling alcoholism to just
depression,
some severe depression, plus my chaotic family history, just constantly throwing shit in there. And then again in 2023, my brother that was immediately younger than my sister who committed suicide, he also took his life. She was 17 and he was 18. And I think something that always sticks with me was when Sean called me after you told him, and he told me, he was like, he really just was concerned for me, and he was like, I cried because I didn't know if you were going to make it, like if you were going to survive this. And I mean, I know everyone, I feel like you and it, I mean, her and Andy they were there for me as well for that, and you guys saw me through that first, definitely like week. My husband, don't let me forget my husband. My husband has obviously been the most supportive, because my life has been honestly just fucking in shambles since then. I've had a lot of wonderful times, I'll get into like the great stuff another day, but that one, I feel like that one took a piece of my sanity that I don't believe I will ever gain back.
Well, I think when you lose someone, especially someone that close to you, you do lose a piece of you. A piece of you is missing, and for forever you don't get that back. Yeah, you just learn how to cope with it is all you do with that missing piece.
Yeah. And I feel like so you also lost a cousin though, didn't you, a long time ago? We've been talking about him.
Yeah, I did. We were super close. He was like a brother to me. Growing up, we did everything together. But yeah, he was in a car accident. Someone was racing, really late at night and hit him and killed him and his friend. That one almost broke me, but yeah, that was in 1994, so that it's been some years now. It doesn't hurt any less,
Right.
ever.
Right.
Grief, it doesn't stop. You never stop hurting less, but it just gets easier to cope with.
Right.
Is all.
Yeah. I think that oftentimes that when people haven't ever really experienced loss or tragedy like that, they don't know how to deal with someone dealing with cope or with grief. They don't know how to deal with someone. They don't know how to help them cope when they're dealing with grief. And
sometimes when you're trying to grieve, sometimes you don't need anyone helping you do anything. You just need someone to be there and present to know that you're not alone.
Yeah. That's exactly what I feel like I always need, especially after, Noah James.
Yeah. As you remember, we just would ride and play music and just let you cry it out and scream and whatever you needed to do to get it out. No words were exchanged. It's just being there and being present and letting you work through it.
Yeah.
You can't fix someone grieving.
No. It is, and it's such a, no one grieves the same, right? Like I said, my first time, I guess, dealing with loss, I was just a little girl. I would have these bouts of just heavy emotions and I wouldn't know what it was. And then just suddenly after I was literally 9 and 10 years old and would just be having bouts of crying that I couldn't understand. And my mind would be racing and eventually I'd just settle on and I just miss my dad.
Yeah, I think as small kids, we're not taught how to deal with those types of emotions. I think people, when you're that small, they just sugarcoat things. They just say, well, Dad went to heaven, and then that's that. They don't sit and say, well, what feelings are you having? And this is how we can cope with that, or deal with it, or work through those emotions. We don't get taught stuff like that. So
and my mom did not really help. My father was very physically abusive to my mother, and so I understand how that could have been a complicated situation to be in. However, as a mother, she should have, really intervened and helped.
Same with me. My kid's father, was abusive too, but at any point that if he was to ever pass away, I would cry for my children.
Yeah. And you would tell them about good times or things that you knew that he liked, right? Yes. I would ask my mom, do you remember what my dad's favorite color was or his birthday? I would ask about things like, what was his favorite song or music or what was y'all's song or, like anything. And she just, I don't want to talk about him. And I think that, I don't want to get emotional right now, but so I actually realized this year on May 9th, that was...
Is that his birthday?
No, that's the day that he passed. My dad was born in October. Okay. I can't ever remember the actual date, but it wasn't Halloween. I know that. However, I realized back in May and then recently again, my dad has actually been gone for 20 years, I think this year. So...
It's a long time.
Yeah.
So what about his family? Do you not have contact with them at all or have any type of relationship?
I have a relationship with one of my cousins on his side, and I did try to have a relationship with another one. My dad was a twin, and his twin had a son who was just a couple years older than me, and I did try to have a relationship with him. But his mom, first of all, my grandmother on my dad's side was a sick individual. She didn't even want my mom and dad to be married. She didn't want me to be born. There is a rumor, not from my mom, but like from my dad's side, my aunts on that side, that said that she tried to work me for, on my mom's behalf.
So So is she still alive?
No, she died of a heart attack or a stroke or something in 2017.
Yeah. So, what about your dad's twin brother? Is he still living?
No, he's got a twin sister, not a brother.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
She still living?
She's still living. And she was actually my godmother, but she never reached out. And apparently they've been coming to the States for fucking years.
It would have been nice if you could have had a relationship with her and she could have filled in all of those missing parts about your dad.
Yeah.
You know, what he was like, his personality, what he was like growing up as a kid, his favorite color, the food he liked to eat, all of the little things, you know.
Or his like his favorite food, you know, something like that.
Was he allergic to avocados too?
You gonna tell the enemy that? You don't know who's listening. So I'll give her credit though. Anytime that we did come in, my mom would let us go down there because she never came with us when he was being like for his funerals and stuff. And so his family were the ones that always took us out there. Mm-hmm. My Aunt Gloria, she did try to have a relationship with us, but there was a situation where my dad's twin sister, her name is Rosie. She said something really foul to my little sister Birdie when she was younger, and it got back to me. And you know I don't play that shit. I quickly snipped that shit in the bud and was like, you can get the fuck up out of here. Now, but still, I want to give Rosie credit because she did give me a couple albums with pictures of her and my dad when they were little kids and of just my dad. And then she also gave me some pictures of my mom and dad when they were like at their wedding. And I thought that was very nice. I will give her that credit. But I mean, I was a child. She was the adult. She could have done more, you know. And in the Hispanic culture, being a godparent, especially after someone has passed, that's very a really important. Big deal, you know. And did she do a couple nice things? Yes. Do
you think your mother could have had anything to do with that?
Honestly, yeah. It's very possible, but
I'm not wanting to reach out because maybe there was tension and arguing, and maybe your mom.
I don't know. I don't know, and I say this because my tia Teli, my Aunt Teli, she apparently always had a great relationship with my mom, but she also never went out of her way to try and visit or reach out or anything like that. I just think I was just kind of out of sight, out of mind, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, they were all in Mexico.
Right.
That was my dad was the only one who had children that were born in America.
Some people just like me. I can be the same way sometimes. I don't reach out to people like I should because I'm the same way, out of sight, out of mind, until it just crosses my mind.
Yeah. And
it could be a year down the road, and I'm like, oh yeah, hey, I haven't talked to you in a year, but that could be like one of those situations.
Yeah. But for her, I mean, she knew that I understood English and Spanish, and she also spoke some English, and she never tried to say anything negative about my mom, my dad, anyone in my family, not me or my sister to me. But of course, she got my younger, little vulnerable baby sister alone and decided to start trash talking. Well, like I said, I did not play that. I will say, and I'm not proud of it. Of course, I'm ashamed of how, me and you have had this conversation, like how rough I was with my sister. But my mom was my first bully, and of course, those things, you know, as my sister and I got older, like we were teenagers and stuff, I did start to realize how I took a lot of my hurt out on her. Mm-hmm. And I still live with that, but I did apologize to her. I can say that before Birdie took her life, several years before she took her life, this was like when we were both still in high school, because there was a 3-year age difference. I did apologize to her, you know.
Yeah. And
I still fucked up after that, but when it came down to me bullying my sister and then other people bullying my sister, everyone knew that wasn't going to fly. It could have been my mom, another one of my siblings, cousins, anyone. They weren't going to fuck with Birdie. Like, I didn't play that shit. So, yeah, I just didn't like that. But I did have another aunt. Her name was Gloria. and also, my dad's sister. And she did try to have a relationship with us for a little short while, but then I think when I went off on that aunt, sisters are going to stick together, and that's fair. That's fine. I don't give a shit. Fuck them. I've been all right since, and thereafter, before.
Yeah, but it still would have been nice to have that type of closure and come full circle and learn about your family and your dad.
There was a time when I did reach out to my father's youngest brother, and I did ask him, I was like, what was my dad's birthday? What day did he die? Tell me about, my grandfather on his side and my grandmother. I did ask things like that. But it was just because I was more curious, and, I didn't know how old they were. And so actually my grandfather on my dad's side, he had died not long after my dad died. He probably died 2 or 3 years later. Because it had to have been 2008 or 9, I think.
When he passed?
Yeah, when my grandfather passed, yeah. And you know what? He was a police officer and he rode motorcycles. So even though I chased the firefighter life, it was just naturally instilled in me to want to ride motorcycles. So apple didn't fall far from the tree.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than, the Day of the Dead, I do try and memorialize my loved ones and, such when I can, Do you feel like you saw any negative things when you were as you're dealing with your grief? Like any, bad qualities or bad habits or anything like that?
So my habit is when someone passes away, I don't really like to go to funerals. I don't, and if I feel obligated to go, but I think the reason why I don't like to go, first off, is because I'm an empath. I can really go to someone's funeral that I have no idea who they are.
And you'll just cry.
And I'm crying for that person and the time with their family that they lost, and watching their family grieve and cry upsets me. So I just don't like funerals anyway. And besides the fact, I have the bad habit of just pretending in my head like it didn't happen. And that's kind of how I deal with it, how I deal with grief. It's just pretending that it didn't happen. I'm so bad about that there's point in times when I can think about someone who's passed. Like, I'm thinking of them in the present, and then it hits me, oh no, they're not here anymore. And then it's like that wave all over again of like, oh my God, they're really not here.
Yeah.
So even if I do attend funerals, I don't view the body, because that's not how I want to remember my loved one being. Like, I want to remember my last thoughts of them being alive and laughing and smiling and being who they were, and not in that body. That's not them anymore.
Yeah.
So to me, viewing a dead body is just weird.
Yeah.
Why are we doing that?
I think for some people it's closure. They need to see it. They need to see it to confirm it. I know that's how I was with my sister. I couldn't let it go. Like, I was like, I need to see her. Yeah. I need to actually lay my eyes on this. And
yeah, I don't need that, because I can't keep living in my own fantasy world if I see it. You know what I'm saying?
All right, Vicky. But yeah, I can understand that. I can see that. Like I said earlier, I think definitely with my sister, I try to drown my sorrows with alcohol.
Yeah.
And that took a really long time to finally so she passed in 2017. 2022 was the first year that I spent both her birthday and the anniversary of her death sober. And I've except for one time when she actually turned, on the year that she would have turned 21. Oh, well, actually that's the one. 2021, I drank to her being 21, and then I was like, after this, I'm done. Next year I'm gonna do better, be better. And I can say that I have, and I did. With Noah James, I saw and felt myself trying to slip into that immediately after. And I was just, I mean, everything that happened with my job and all that stuff. I just was not. I actually woke up this morning. I'm sorry to be like so fast tracked and then all over the place, but I woke up this morning and I was thinking about how we were going to talk about this today. And then I just wandered into like the depths of my thoughts and was like, in times when I really needed kindness, life has not been kind to me, or gentle at least, Like after losing my father, my mom was going through a very, very brutal divorce from another abusive man, and she was in a horrible legal custody battle. And, with Rodney, things happened then. My mom was again going through another divorce. And we were homeless, and, like with Birdie, I was getting out of an abusive relationship. And I feel like, when you don't, I feel like when you're not met with, gentle kindness after something like that, I feel like that's why sometimes people do turn out, how I feel like it wasn't until like 2020s and later that when I felt sadness, I knew to cry. It wasn't just coming out in it. It was always anger before that. I couldn't allow myself to be sad. That was just so weak. But
and that kind of goes back to what I was saying, where as children we're coddled and told this fantasy of of just, oh well, they're going to heaven and that's it, like, and we're not taught that we're supposed to cry and grieve and go through all of the steps, so you don't know.
Yeah, I agree, but I feel like that's why I'm such a bitch. And I do mean that. Like, I'm not saying that's excusable for me and my ugly behaviors, because I feel like I do have a lot of ugly behavior, like ugly qualities sometimes in my personality that I'm still working on. I don't just recognize them and I'm like, whatever. No, like I try to be accountable and work on those issues. But I was just thinking about that this morning.
A long way.
Oh, I know you can say that.
A long way.
Yeah. Who I once was and who I am now.
Yeah.
I don't hate the world so much.
Yeah.
I don't hate myself as much either.
Right.
But so I think that is what helped me not go drowning my sorrows, with a bottle with Noah.
For sure.
And, also had just such a better support system at that time. I was developing a relationship with y'all. And I know for y'all, that was like very, that had to be difficult for y'all to like just take on this person that was just a fucking wreck. Like, how do you fucking deal with it? I know Andy especially. God, the other day I was talking to Andy and I was like, I know you remember how bad my anxieties used to be. Like, I literally used to just wake her up, like, screaming or crying, like, don't know what to do. Like, I can't breathe. She'd be like, you're fine. You're breathing. Just slow it down,
Yeah.
And she did help a lot. But with Noah James, I had you and I had my wonderful, 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 amazing, perfect husband. And, I had other friends, I just had a lot of people around me, and it did help. It's only been 2 years, but I'm already dealing with this a lot better, and I guess that time frame versus the first time around.
Yeah. So that's our life with loss and grieving.
Yeah. I think we have decided that we're going to add some links, right? We'll probably do a couple of like suicide hotlines, see if we can't find something to do with grieving counseling or, groups or something. just because, like I said, I know what I almost became, and I'm grateful that I didn't. And so any of you out there, I just don't want y'all to follow that path or even try to go down that road. A good friend of mine, David, once told me, when it comes to pain and, grief and, just hardships, you have to go through it, not around it. And let's get through it. Don't go around it. And you guys have us to reach out to. I am the number one person that I try and advocate for anybody going through hardships, because I know how hard it can be. And I know how hard it can be when you feel alone, or people don't know how to address, what you're going through, what you're experiencing. So I would like for me and this podcast and Miss Julie, for us to be, whether it's just like your first resource. I would like that, because you never know, we don't know how our neighbor's going to go and handle something.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I appreciate you guys coming and listening. I know that was kind of a wild ride. We went from talking about hair to talking about some very serious topics.
Yeah.
Me and Julie are going to set up her Cricut. I'm going to try and talk her through some tips and tricks that I've been given. And then tomorrow I am heading up to Indiana to go be with my baby. I've missed him. So y'all wish me safe travels. And like I said, we're going to throw up some links, some sources. Anyways, child, before you so rudely interrupted. And yeah, I look forward to seeing y'all next time. And unfortunately, I think that dang, dude, you done? Bless you. I look forward to seeing y'all next time.
Fuck me, not then. Want you to talk.
Fuck it.
He said, "You're done. It's over. Cut.
Wrap it up, bitch. Wrap it up." Last time. I hope to see y'all next time. And I thank y'all for joining me today. But unfortunately, next time that I do record, I'm in the studio. It will not be with Julie. It will be with my husband or one of his coworkers, or maybe by myself. I don't know.
Yeah, but you'll get to meet Logan, and he's awesome, and you're going to love him.
Yes, he's just a big, goofy, fun guy.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. Bye.
Bye.